Today I want to talk about something like it's kind of like a weird vibe I had about a month ago where I kind of felt like I was losing a battle I created. Like usually what I do is I make a to-do list, then complete the to-do list. Very simple. You make it, complete it, whatever. Sometimes it rolls over the next day, and that's fine because you just finish that day. But so I started my second semester of college, and during that semester, I would check off one task and then 3 more would appear like a hydra. It was insane. I didn't know what to do, really. I usually just finish the list, but I wasn't finishing the list. Usually, I make the video while I'm doing something, but this time I couldn't really do that because obviously, as I just said, if you were listening, I was busy. Sorry, I didn't mean to be mean. But I was super busy, is what I'm trying to say. And to compare this to sort of like a race, if there was like a to-do list man or like a life man, I'm getting outrun by him. All right, I am getting outrun by this guy, and I really didn't know what to do. Basically, usually you have the option to sprint during a race. So, you're running cross country, you're running. Someone starts passing you. If you wanted to, hypothetically, you could go all full out sprint. Okay, it's a 5-mile race, but you could go all full out sprint. Now, usually, if you're even running 400 meters, or it would be like 1/20th of the race, you wouldn't even sprint, but you could sprint that entire time. It's hypothetical. That's kind of the goal of everyone, is to sprint that entire time. But that's bad because you can get burnt out and you could, not be able to finish the race. You could run out of energy, literally. But usually, if the to-do list is getting really crazy, I just sprint. All right, I just start knocking off all the bubbles and clicking the circles, and the to-do list man is very scary. When he starts catching up, you gotta run. And this time, I start sprinting, and I'm still not as fast as him. So imagine I'm running a race. This guy starts passing me. I start sprinting. He's just going the same pace, and he's still beating me. Man. I didn't know what to do. It was like a race forever, I guess. Which I guess is kind of what life is. It's kind of like a race forever, because if you stop, everyone still goes and they will pass you eventually. And it doesn't ever really stop until you die. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about today. But if he starts catching up, I usually just run faster. And that's never happened before. I run faster and I run as fast as I physically can. And I still am not beating this guy. And it was also more alarming too, because I was literally still sprinting. But whatever. This analogy is getting too weird. But usually, if I get stressed out, I will usually put more effort into the thing, right? If I'm worried about a test, I just study more. If I'm worried about, I don't know, like giving a presentation, I just practice it more, like stuff like that. But this time, I couldn't do anything because I'm already sprinting, I'm already studying more, I'm already practicing more, I'm already doing all these things, and I literally just can't push farther, I think I got lucky here because usually, like I said, with the sprinting, you get burnt out, but I didn't get burnt out, luckily. But that was also kind of a fear of mine, where it's like, if I just keep pushing, am I gonna like not be able to anymore? Like, am I gonna run out? It was kind of like the Bart Simpson thing, where Bart Simpson never tries on tests and he usually fails them, and it's fine because he doesn't care. But I'm actually sprinting. I didn't fail any tests or whatever, but I'm actually sprinting and I'm still not seeing the results I want to see. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. Just for context, the tasks I'm talking about are computer science tasks for the computer science major at college. I'm not going to dox myself, but also just more context, I guess. It's apparently one of the most time-consuming majors. Not hardest, but most time-consuming, at least. I know that I haven't taken every college course once, but that's just what I've heard from just people talking and saying it. But if you've taken every college course, tell me in the comments below what the most time-consuming major you took was. But also, I was also taking 18 credits at the time. And it's kind of made me realize I want everything. So I want to, be a computer science major, time consuming. I want to take 18 credits, time consuming. I want to get good grades, time consuming. I want to be in 2 clubs, not as time consuming, but it's there. I also want to have a social life. I want to talk to my friends once a week, talk to my family once a week at least, you know. I want time to work on YouTube. I want time to work on YouTube videos. And the saying kind of goes, get good grade. No, that's not the saying. Good grades, good job, good life. It's kind of like the saying. It's the simple idea. But recently, you know, I'm trying to compare it to something kind of against what I'm saying here. I read the 5 regrets of the dying, and they are, I'm going to read them now just to give context. Number 1 is I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself. Number 2 is I wish I hadn't worked so hard. Number 3 is I wish I had the courage to express my feelings. Number 4 is I wish I had stayed in touch with my friends. And number 5 is I wish that I had let myself be happier. So I read these, like, I read this, and I read this kind of often because it's just interesting. This person worked in palliative care, I believe. Don't know what that is, but she talked to people who were gonna die a lot, and then she wrote down what they said because it's interesting, because they're kind of like the max level you could be in a video game, and they're giving advice before they log off for the last time. Okay, that was terrible. I'm sorry, that was the worst analogy I ever made in my life. Basically, they have most experience. You have most life experience before you die, obviously, because that's the end. You know the most about the movie before it ends. Okay, that was better. The video game one was like, it was almost like mean. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I read that and I'm like, okay, I need to value these things more equally, right? I wish I had spent more time with friends, wish I hadn't worked so hard, right? Like, you know, I need to value things more equally. And that's what I was trying to do, and I was running out of time, and that was bad. And, you know, so this is what I did to kind of overcome it. I don't know if this helps anyone at all. This is probably like something that is very custom per person. But what I did was I reevaluated my reasons. You know, I was talking with someone, and they basically were like, wow, that's so impressive that you're doing all that. Wow, that's so cool. And I was like, oh, I didn't say this, but in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, why don't I care? I feel like if this was like a Disney Channel show, the person would be like, oh my goodness, thank you so much, wow. And they like think about it. And I was like, oh, okay. So interesting, right? You do all these things, and that's kind of like the best thing you could receive in a way, is like some, like, you know, being saying like, wow, that's so cool. And I didn't care. And I was like, oh, I really need to like think about why I'm doing this. Because if I'm kind of chasing after, I guess, validation, and then I get it and I don't care at all, like, what does that mean for me? You know, like, what is that? What does it mean for me? I don't think I've ever really chased it, like, validation, but, you know, it's still, you have to be conscious of that idea, because you don't want to accidentally do it. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that made me reevaluate my reasons. That's why I did it. And I think that helped a lot with this problem. So I reevaluated why I'm doing this, and I kind of thought about exactly why I'm doing this. Like, you know, is it because everyone goes to college? Is it because I need it to get a job in this field? Is it because, etc., etc., etc.? So I did that, and that helped, I think. And it allowed for me to kind of hone in on like why I care about this, and remind myself of why I care about it when I'm doing it. The next thing I did was I super prioritized my tasks. This is probably the more actionable one, but instead of prioritizing things based off of date and just ordering it like, okay, this thing's due tomorrow, I need to finish it, and then tomorrow comes, okay, this thing's due tomorrow, I need to finish it, okay, this thing's due tomorrow. Instead of doing that, I prioritized it based off how much it would affect my grade, and then I put that much effort in. If something was going to affect my grade a lot, I put more effort in, and if something wasn't going to affect my grade as much, I just kind of didn't do it as much as I probably would have. Like, I like to do everything to the best of my ability. And this kind of goes to the next point of like, half a dozen eggs is still 6 eggs, right? I just kind of made that up, but half a dozen eggs is still 6 eggs. If someone gives you half a dozen eggs, that's still worth something, you know, that still matters. So what I did is, if I had an assignment that I just didn't have enough time to do the whole way, I did it as much as I could. You know, I might have done a half a dozen worth as opposed to the entire dozen. You know, I does that make sense? Whatever. I think that makes sense. And I try to do it as good as I could, is what I'm trying to say. And I did these things, and I think they helped a lot. And you know, on some assignments I didn't receive the grades I wanted to, but I think overall it worked out. But then disaster struck. So remember how I said I didn't get burnt out? Well, I didn't get mentally burnt out, but I might have gotten physically burnt out because I got sick literally the week before finals week, which is like the week you're supposed to be like studying and locking in for finals week. And I got sick literally at that moment. And I was like, oh, that's not good. Especially for my finals, because my finals were worth like 30 to 40% of my entire grade. So imagine you go to a semester of college, 15 weeks, and this final is worth 5 of those weeks. You could have like just not existed for 5 of those weeks and gotten the same grade as someone who just did really well this one week, which is kind of insane. But hey, that's how it works. You know, I can't change it. But then I went to the online doctor, and the person loads on the screen, and I'm like, okay, they're like, what are your symptoms? I'm like, these are my symptoms. I'm like, okay, I sent the medication over, bye. And I was like, okay, we're not gonna talk about like what it is, what. They just hung up. I was like, okay, cool, at least I got the medication. And I go to the medication place, or the pharmacy, as people usually call it, and I get it, I bring it back, and I take it. And I didn't realize this, but one of those medications gives me brain fog, which I don't know if it's a provable thing, but I swear it might have been full placebo, and it might have been like the most insane placebo clutch of my life. But one of them I genuinely think gave me brain fog, and the other two were just drowsy medications. Like, they just actually make you drowsy, which is tired. They make you tired. And I'm basically, kind of the worst things you could have during finals week is be tired and have brain fog. So a day before my first exam, I realized, oh, I think this medication gives me brain fog, because I took it for like 6 months before, and I definitely had brain fog then, and I stopped taking it, I definitely stopped having brain fog. I was like, uh-oh. I need to stop taking the spray or whatever it was. I'm not saying don't take your medications, but I am saying this was like an allergy medication, so it's not that big of a deal, I guess. But okay, this makes sense contextual. But I stopped taking that nose spray, allergy spray, and I felt a lot better. And I was like, okay, I'm locking in now. And I locked in. I still felt really tired though, and I'm sort of like slamming my head against the wall, like, why am I so tired? Why can't I study? I'm like just incapable of focusing. Like, is this burnout? What is happening to me? You know, like, have I just lost interest? Like, why don't I care during the most important time? Is it because it's mostly over now and I just don't, you know, I'm checking out, like, what's going on? And then I take the exams, and I you know, I'm done with college. And I wonder what these medications actually do. And I look at them, and both of them, 2 out of 3 of them, have the drowsy side effect. And I was like, oh, okay, are you kidding me, man? like this, I've been this tired this entire time. Oh my goodness. But here's where this actually relates to what I was saying earlier. I promise. See, I promise. It relates to what I was saying earlier, because I still got the 4. If you don't know what the 4 is, that's the GPA you get when you get all A's. I got all A's. And I was like, oh my goodness, this was so insanely clutch. But I did bad in all my finals. But I still got all A's because of the system earlier that I set. I still maximized my grades in the classes by focusing on the assignments, etc., etc. And I got all A's. It was pretty cool. I don't know why I was talking like that. Etc., etc. But yeah, actually, I got the grades I needed to get. And in short, basically, remind yourself of why you're doing the thing. Focus on the objectively important things that will affect what you're aiming for the most. And if you can't do it great, do it good, because good is at least something. And that's also a quote by me. So if you write that down anywhere, you have to write my name with next to a dash or a hyphen. That's the legal requirement for quotes. I hope you don't get arrested because you didn't put that there. But yeah, that's just worked for me. Ironically, this channel was supposed to be a way for me to still do YouTube while in college, because it doesn't take as much time. And I still wasn't able to do it. I still don't have time. So I don't know what that means. But yeah, I don't know. That's it. Yeah, that's about it. All right. Hope you have a good day.